Show with Marcus Head.
Welcome, everybody, to another segment of the Good Hair Podcast Show. I'm your host, Marcus Head, and I have a very special guest today, a young lady who is doing big, big things. And I'm really excited because, one, she is smart. She is very talented, and I am going to adopt her as my daughter in the future because she's just that good. Her dad is a good friend of mine, and I'm happy to have her on here. So without further ado, I want to introduce the author, the actor, the motivational speaker. I'm running out of adjectives. So without further ado, let's introduce Arianna Fox. How you doing, love?
Doing wonderfully. How about yourself, Marcus?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited because I love to see young people that really love the business. And I've had a couple conversations with you, and I've had conversations with your father. And the biggest takeaway I get is mega superstar with you all over it. So please introduce everybody to the world who you are.
Gladly. So I'm Arianna Fox. I am now 16-year-old. I just had a birthday a few days ago, so I'm getting used to it. But a 16-year-old girl entrepreneur, motivational speaker, actress, voiceover talent, and teen influencer. And I'm also best-selling triple author as well. I love languages, and I love inspiring people, and I love inspiring on a professional level, not just the things that everybody has heard a billion times, but to give a sense of motivation to even young people in a realistic and practical manner as well. So that's a little bit about myself, I guess.
Wow. So a young person giving advice to young people, that is just fascinating. And one thing I really love and adore about you is you're very genuine about who you are. And I really love that. And a lot of kids, 16-year-old, they're playing on their phones, chasing boys, and, they're just not focused. You already have discovered who you are and your calling or what you want to do.
Thank you. And yeah, no, I agree 100%. Anytime I do have to do things, on the phone a lot for the companies that I'm, doing and the business work and especially emails and stuff. But I always cringe no matter what, no matter when I'm out and I'm on my phone and I'm just like, why do I have to be? Because I just know that I look like one of those other teenagers. And so, yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. I try not to be one of those.
So Arianna, let's talk about how you discovered your niche. Where did it come from, and when did you decide that you wanted to just really get into the entertainment business?
Yeah, well, it definitely depends on which part of the niche, because for inspiring people and for writing, I kind of always realized that I wanted to do it. And I remember telling my parents when I was about 4 or 5 years old, in my little mini voice, I was like, I want to be an author when I grow up. Yay! And, but one of the things that they really kind of explained to me when I mentioned that, they were very supportive, but the thing was, they told me, why wait until you're older? Why not start right now? Why not take that journey to success right now instead of wait until you're an adult? And so that is one of the main things that kind of helped me to accelerate in all the things that I'm doing, including the entertainment industry, because if not for that advice, I wouldn't have gotten, to where I am now for sure. As for the entertainment industry and acting in particular, which is, I'm sure, kind of what you were referring to, I've always loved playing and creating different characters ever since I was young. I've always been a very rather hyper person, and so ever since I was young, I would go around the living room just being crazy in different characters, and I would just love it. And that was sort of the first acting experience I had before things got professional. But probably about age 13 or so was when I really decided that, oh my goodness, acting would be so cool. My parents kind of helped me with that as well, and my parents have always been helping me to better my craft. And I think that pretty much after that, it was just kind of an arduous journey of learning how to memorize better, how to not give up, because I have a whole story about that, and just to overall get better, because we're always learning.
What 16-year-old uses the word arduous? I don't even know what that means. I don't even know how to spell it. Oh my God. We're talking to So we're here with Arianna Fox, very talented. So let's talk about a few of your special gifts. First, let's talk about being an influencer. What does that mean?
Ooh, okay, so that is going to get many different answers depending on whom you ask, and thankfully, I think I have a good answer. This is my opinion of what an influencer is. It does not mean, because so many people think it means, that you have to have a big social media presence and that you have to do these trendy TikTok dances and all these things that people are doing these days, teenagers and adults alike, and are becoming, quote, end quote, influencers. To me, being a true influencer is to inspire and impact and motivate and do exactly what that word says, and that is influence. I'm a big fan myself of etymology. I'm a huge fan of it. That's probably part of where, the love for long words comes from. I love, basically learning about where words come from. And, think about the word influencer. I mean, it really means to influence. And so many people nowadays are using that term and even almost applying a negative definition to it, because now influencers these days are all about sales and marketing and, getting people to do these promo codes that they're a part of, their, affiliates and all that kind of stuff. And that's not, to me, how you start out as an influencer. As long as you're positively impacting people and helping energize people, inspiring people, even educating them. That's one of the things I like to do as an influencer is to educate people. I always even on Instagram, I have these little like quizzes and things that I have, about different subjects most people wouldn't know about. Like let's say synesthesia. It's a mind thing where you associate colors with numbers and letters and other stuff. And then, even where did Cinco de Mayo come from? Why do we celebrate it every 5th of May? Just different stuff like that. I love to be able to educate people and, for people to log off of Instagram thinking, I learned something new from Arianna today. And that's kind of a part of what I want to do.
Wow, that was a great answer. And actually, I wrote some of those tidbits down. So thank you for that free knowledge. So also, you are a author. You have 2 books that are published, and you're working on another book now. So can you tell us about those books?
Absolutely, yeah. So my first book is The Princess Chronicles. It's a children's book. It's about these princesses who are learning kindness, friendship, forgiveness, all those important qualities. Essentially, the idea behind that is that even princesses aren't perfect. So many kids, especially little girls in particular, aspire to be like princesses, and they think, they're so cool. And yet, even princesses aren't perfect. We all have to learn these important things. So The Princess Chronicles teaches things like kindness, humility, teamwork, trust, and honesty, and all kinds of different awesome, important things. So I started writing that about age 5-ish, but the problem was it took so many years to try to acquire an illustrator. And so at about age 12 or so is finally when we were able to find one. And we ended up publishing The Princess Chronicles then. Actually, take that back, it was probably about 11. Because at age 12, that was when I wrote False Awakening. It's a sci-fi novel. And it's kind of like what you get when you cross the movies Inception and The Matrix, and you kind of make them family friendly, and you just have a good time with it. So the main character, Chris Coleman, is in between dreams within dreams within dreams, and he has to join a rebellion and fight against an evil tyrant. So it's a book for all ages, and it's really fun. The last book that I wrote is called Saber Black, and it is a fantasy / sci-fi young adult for teens book about a teenage girl who's actually now my age, but at that time she's 16. But she has to learn to figure out what side she's fighting for, because there are these 2 sides of winged characters. There are the good guys and the bad guys. The good guys are called Zaras, and the bad guys are called Sendars. The thing about the main character, Saber, is that she's born a Sendar, but fights for the Zaras. So, the question is she good? Is she bad? Is she both? I mean, what is it going to end up with? And that's the question there.
So we've talked about you being an influencer. We've talked about you being an author. So let's talk about the TV commercials and the voiceovers and the acting. So first of all, how do you balance all of these different talents that you have?
It's a very, very good question. one of the biggest things is time management in general. A lot of people who have these different branches, they are, different branches of life and streams of income. They are not putting it all in an order to where it is most efficient and effective. And so one of the things that I like to do is just manage my time, go to a to-do list, and put things in order of priority and importance. And I just think that it's one of the most important things is to have in your mind, even if you don't like writing it down, even if you don't like putting it on the calendar or something, just in your mind, at least know your priorities. I mean, I think that is so important. Okay, if I have a speaking event coming up this week and I have a voiceover that I need to get done, then, all right, let me do this voiceover because I can do this in 5 to 10 minutes, and then it'll be practice for my speaking event. And then, okay, let me work on some writing as sort of a break and get back to it. That sort of thing. And another thing that is important, and I'm speaking to myself here too, is taking breaks. I have such a hard time with this. I want to just keep going and working, but it is important sometimes to give yourself breaks and to if you know that you've done a lot of hard work, take a break, get some tea, some coffee, whatever, and get back to it, so that your brain is ready to go. And I think that is one of many things to just balance out those priorities. You just have to make sure that you keep them all balanced so that it doesn't get overwhelming.
I got you. So let's say if Disney came, let's say if Tyler Perry came, let's say if Steven Spielberg came, and they say, we want you have so many talents, you have to pick one. Which one would it be?
Goodness me. Well, since you used the example of Disney and Steven Spielberg coming, then, naturally I would tell them acting because that's what would be at best disposal to them. I couldn't really say writing and do anything for Steven Spielberg or Disney, but I'm overthinking your question, aren't I? I think I would just say, in general, to answer that question, the thing that is probably, if I had to pick one thing, it would be either writing or voiceover acting. I couldn't imagine a life without writing. I think it's amazing. But at the same time, voiceover acting is one of my first and favorite passions. And it's also the most lucrative. And, and that's important as well, to establish a career as well as just a hobby or a passion. So I would, if I really had to pick just one, then I might say voiceover acting.
You know what's funny? I said to myself, she's going to say voiceover. I don't know why. And earlier I heard you. Can you give us an sample of like some voiceovers that you've done? Because I just heard one a second ago and I was amazed.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, let's see. Well, it depends. I love doing different accents, vocal ranges. Some of them I do my own voice. I just put on a commercial feel. So, just like buy one, get one now, 50% off. And, then I'll say something, one of my favorite parts is, towards the end, I'll say something like, terms apply, waiting until blah, 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 blah. And it's the fast part, and I absolutely love that.
Really?
And then I love doing different accents. So, like, one of my favorites is the Irish accent. And I don't really get to do it a whole lot, but not too long ago, I had a podcast, sort of an audio drama, where I had to do a few Irish characters, and it was so much fun. Or I also Scottish. Again, I don't get it a whole lot, but I spend a lot of time practicing, so I hope that it's good enough. Of course, British, which is the SSB, Standard Southern British. So it's not too posh, it's not too crazy, but it is right in the middle between Cockney and, something a little bit formal. So there's that. And then I guess my last example would be I think a lot of people like this one. So I am a young girl now. And so I hope that makes sense.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. So you have a few films that you have done and you have coming up. So let's talk about Box in the Basement. Can you tell me about that film?
100%. So The Box in the Basement is a film that my daddy, Mike Fox, directed, produced, created, wrote, and a billion other things, post-production, edited. He is a jack of all trades, master of all, in my opinion. And he made The Box in the Basement, and it is such a powerful film. I star as the lead character, Avery, and basically what it's about in a nutshell is that it is a movie that's kind of a sci-fi movie about a girl named Avery who is being bullied. Her parents are arguing. So many things are going wrong in her life. They just moved, and her brother died not long ago. She's having a really, really, really tough life. And basically, she ends up hearing about this special box that's down in the basement that she hasn't heard about before. And this box gives her the opportunity to transport to her future. She ends up seeing that her future is going to be amazing and bright and wonderful and happy, and so she wants to transport. But little does she know, the box, if you use it to transport into the future, then all past and everybody that she loves will be basically non-existent. But the thing is, what will she choose? That's the question. So you gotta watch the movie to find out. It's on Amazon, Tubi. It's not IMDb TV anymore. It's Freevee.
Freevee, yeah.
But yep. But yeah, no, that's what The Box in the Basement is about. It has been such a blessing, an amazing opportunity to work on it with my daddy, and even I actually edited the script for it as well. But I love it 100% with all my heart.
Yeah, I did watch it and I enjoyed it, and you did a great job. You know, some of the crying scenes you did was great. And
Thank you.
I loved when your parents left. I'm not going to give the movie away, but I love when your parents walked out and they left. But it was like, we need some time to get away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when they was at the door, I thought that was great. And then your friend that you had in there, your best friend that always came by, what was her name? She did a great job.
Her character name is, I think, Amy. Her real name is Emma Lee. Like Emma, EMMA, and then Lee, Li, Chinese.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah, that was a great film. And you also have a few other projects coming up. You have a TV series you guys are working on called Wanna Be a Star. Can you tell me about that?
Absolutely. So, Wanna Be a Star, it's literally, it's a comedy sitcom, and it's so funny that I laugh when I think about it. I'm not joking. It is awesome. Wanna Be a Star is a sitcom that has a lot of wonderful humor that I like to consider clean humor. There are so many things these days, so many comedy movies and shows that do not have good content, in my opinion. At least to us, it is not funny. It really isn't. It's inappropriate. The humor just really isn't. It doesn't make sense. And so Wanna Be a Star is absolutely great. It's for the whole family, and it's about this character played by Marquise Skinner. He's the director and producer, as well as not director. He's the producer, and the co-producer is actually also my daddy as well. My daddy is the director. But this character is called Dr. Cool, and he's played by Marquise as well. The log line is this. Dr. Cool is a character who is teaching an acting class to many students. And the thing is, he's never taught acting a day in his life. And he's actually doing this because he is trying to get money. And so he doesn't know anything about acting. This is a side hustle. But is it? He's trying to eventually he warms up to the class a little, and it's a very heartfelt show as well. So I don't play a lead role. I play just kind of a supporting role, but I think she's hilarious. Her name is Janet, and she's this lass who's quite like myself in a lot of ways. She's very energetic, but think me, but a little bit more annoying, and way more wanting to do a great job in being a Disney actress. So she's always trying to get herself out there, and hi, I'm Janet, and I'm so excited to be here. That sort of thing.
I also want to talk to you because you are just 90 miles and running, and you're just like bam, bam, bam. So you finally took a break, you took a vacation, and you went to England and Scotland. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. So it's always been a lifelong dream of mine to go out of the country in general, but particularly to London, England, because It's where so many of my favorite books are set. When I was younger, I did not like reading. I thought, which is, I know that must seem hilarious considering I'm an author and everything, but I didn't really like reading. I didn't find anything that seemed to be of interest, and I just didn't. But I loved writing, which was really weird. But for years and years, it was like that until we went to Barnes and Noble this one time. I was about 12 years old, and I had already watched a few of the like Sherlock Holmes adaptations, and so I had already watched some of those, and I thought they're pretty cool. And we went to Barnes & Noble this one time, and I saw, resting in the classics section, The Return of Sherlock Holmes, the original book, one of the original books, by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And so what's funny is I almost never pick up any novels at Barnes & Noble, because then there's a commitment factor. You know, you've got to buy it, and then you got to read the whole thing. But something just drew me in, so I decided to pick it up and read the first few sentences. And I was hooked instantly. Beginning with the first mystery, I thought, this is incredible. So they ended up buying that book for me, later buying the whole series of Sherlock Holmes, and later I became a total fan of Sherlock Holmes and the whole books, and also became a Sherlockian pasticheur, which means somebody who wrote a pastiche. I actually got it accepted into an anthology and was able to, I had to research what it was like in the Victorian time period in 1800s and all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of fun, and I love those sorts of books. And so London has just always been, a dream of mine. So we ended up visiting that, but also, like you said, Scotland, because I'm a huge fan of all things Scottish. All things Celtic, really. Scotland, Ireland, Wales, really anything. I am a huge fan of a genre of music that probably nobody listening has heard in their life, and if they have, then you have my respect. It's called Portabile, and it is Gaelic. It's a Scottish Gaelic mouth music, and I actually do sing a little bit of it myself. But it is really, really cool. And so yeah, just going to London and Scotland has always been a dream. We loved going. It was incredible. We got to see some amazing things. We went to the Sherlock Holmes Museum in London. We went to some amazing Highland lochs and castles in Scotland. There's so much to tell, but I'll leave it there.
Wow. Was that your first time going overseas?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that is a different experience going overseas and just seeing all the different cultures and everything. So I'm glad you had a great time, and I'm glad you was able to share it with your family. That's so much important. So
Absolutely.
Among the other things, you're also a motivational speaker. And I mean, as you can tell, you got it in you, and you command a presence in a room. I can just tell that. So tell us about your program, that Ask the Pros motivational segment that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a little less related to the motivational speaking, but it's more actually related to the voiceover acting. Ask the Pros is an article that I was featured on from the amazing Voice 123. So Voice 123 is a site where voiceover actors such as myself can have profiles and submit auditions and get and preferably get projects to be booked on. So I've actually gotten many projects from Voice 123. But they recently reached out to me and some amazing staff members to do a few different segments on their site. One of them was about what it means to be an influencer, kind of like what we discussed earlier. Another one was Ask the Pros, and I believe that was regarding being an influencer and being a voiceover artist and kind of how to balance it, how to manage it. It's actually up on the Voice 123 site. I believe they have like a blog with lots of articles, so feel free to check that out. But yeah, no, that's that. And then of course I have motivational speaking as well. Yeah.
I have to say this, and I know you're aware of the word generational talent. You, my friend, are a generational talent, meaning not too many of you are born, because you're way ahead of yourself. I know you're probably bored as heck with school because you're reading books, you're listening to music no one else is listening to, you're writing books, and you're in movies, and like I said, I mean, I know your dad, so I know your dad, he's a good guy, and you're very well trained and rehearsed and prepared, and I really mean that. And one thing, as I mentioned, we we've mentioned a lot is family. So can you tell us a little about your family's production called Crystal Fox Films?
Most certainly. So, Crystal Fox Films is something that my daddy started probably right around the time he was coming up with the box in the basement. When he came up with the box in the basement, the funny thing about it is that it wasn't originally meant to be a movie. It wasn't meant to be a feature film movie that it is now, it is feature length. But originally, it was meant to be a simple, maybe 5 to 10 minute demo reel, probably less, demo reel for myself, because he wanted basically to find a really good storyline for me to star as the lead-in for my demo reel as an actress. So that way I could submit it to people and say, hey, here's an example of my acting. And so he came up with that, and he came up with the idea, and he wanted all these, emotional scenes. And of course, he wanted to make me that introvert who is just always quiet and depressed, which is the exact opposite of how I always am. And so he started to come up with this, and he started to write the script for it. Then the filmmaking bug bit him hard, and he kind of thought to himself, okay, this needs to be way more than that, because he started getting so many submissions for his casting calls that he was putting out there on backstage. And he realized that there were so many submissions and so many things, and he's like, okay, there is a real need here, to come up with short films. So he came up with a short film for it, and it was originally going to be a short film for pretty much the whole time of production when they were filming and all that. It was only probably about the end when he started thinking about it and thinking about adding up all the scenes together and thinking, wait a minute, I know this is supposed to be a short film, but I think that if we add up all the scenes together, I think it'll be like feature length. And so we ended up actually shooting like 1 or 2 more scenes, and it was feature length. And so we were able to make it a full movie. But yeah, so right around that time when he started really getting that passion of being a filmmaker and director is kind of when Crystal Fox Films started. Now, the name Crystal Fox comes from, we're big Star Wars geeks here, I will admit. We love Star Wars. And so Crystal Fox actually comes from, oh, yay! May the Force be with you, man. So Crystal Fox actually came from the sequels, the last 3, in I believe either the second or the third sequel. There is I think it's called a Vulptex or Vulpex or something. There's some sort of little cool, beautiful little fox animal, but it's made out of crystals, at least so it looks. And so he loved that thing, but also, Fox is our last name, so it kind of fit in perfectly. And so we came up with Crystal Fox Films, and that's kind of, the rest is history. Now he's coming up with other movies. He's making Mia's Bridge, which is a phenomenal new film that he's working on right now. We are looking for funding. So if anybody here is listening and wants to fund or invest in this project, please check it out. Please let us know, contact us, because it is a wonderful film. I believe this, and I'm saying this not as my daddy's daughter, but seriously, just as somebody who really admires the story and the message of bringing people together and unity, because that's what it's all about, and it's going to be so heartfelt. So.
Oh, trust me, as a film producer, I know exactly. You got to have funding for the film. So just talking to you this past half an hour, the one thing I'm really getting out of you is you're very passionate about reading, you love to write, and you love production in addition to, so what is the ceiling for you? Because like I said, you have a director's and producer's mind, because you basically are talking about, getting money for films, and not because it's your family, because you're passionate about the project. And I really respect that. So do you see yourself in the future writing and directing?
I really wouldn't doubt it. Right now, that's not what I'm working on, because I'm leaving all that to my daddy and saying like, hey, I'll edit your script when you're done, because I'm a big fan of editing, proper spelling, punctuation, grammar, all that stuff. I'm one of those people who, when I did a workbook in school several years ago when I was younger, and my favorite thing in it was the proofreading section. I thought that was the funnest thing ever. Right now, I'm not really working on directing or writing, but I actually have started having a few movie ideas and writing out a few scripts and learning how to write a script, which is pretty fun. So yes, I would not doubt it if somewhere down the line when I'm older, after I've written many, many more books, I'm like, okay, I think it's time to write a movie instead. I definitely wouldn't doubt that.
I appreciate you giving me the storyline of Box in the Basement. So since we've already set it up, let's go ahead and show the trailer of Box in the Basement, and we'll be right back with the talented Arianna Fox.
These silent waters hide the upon the altar. I'm in bloom.
Listen, Avery. I've had to make some hard choices.
Sometimes winning's losing fast,
Remember, Avery, you can't change people.
and moving past who is right and who is wrong. And sometimes leaving's all I've got, even when I know it's not. 'Cause our love is too strong for that.
Can't wait to come over next week.
Cool. It's been like so long since you've come.
Look, Rach, the box isn't dangerous.
The Box in the Basement. Choose wisely.
I love the film. It's a great film. Box in the Basement. You guys are going to enjoy it. It's on streaming on Tubi. It's on Amazon Prime. So definitely please support it. It's a great film. It's different. And I really like it. It's diverse. And I think it's just a great project. So kudos to the Crystal Fox Films Company and for you as well for starring in the film.
Thank you.
Before I get you out of here, a couple things I wanted to ask you. The first and foremost is, when it comes to, you say you love reading and editing and, like proofreading scripts and things like that. Is that something that you always thought about as far as looking, like when you're watching a film? Do you break down those films when you're watching them?
That's a great question. Yes, I absolutely do. And actually, so does my daddy, because he as well has a cinematographer's mind. So he and I often are like, oh, I love that shot. Oh, that coloring is great. That could have been different, Yes, absolutely. I do that. I get that from my daddy. One thing I do more than, I think that he probably dissects films more than I do, but I dissect books. And so one of the reasons why I love classic books like Sherlock Holmes so much as opposed to modern books is, when I was younger, one of the reasons why I wasn't that interested in them is because I saw everything. It is a blessing and a curse. I noticed, oh, that comma shouldn't have been there. There should have been a semicolon there instead. That blah 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 blah. And all these little technical details, I noticed it. And so that's why the classics, they feel so far away from where it is now, that even if there is an error, which is very unlikely, if there was an error, I could just write that off as like, okay, they did that back then. But, nowadays it's like, if I read a modern book, I'm just like cringing. Oh, goodness. And even my own, including my own, especially my own. No, I'm kidding. I try my best to make it as good as possible. But yes, I love editing, proofreading. If I am able to in the future, we have possible plans for me branching out into professionally editing, for fellow writers, because there are so many writers and authors out there who are teenagers and young adults. I mean, there is actually a huge community, especially on social media places like Instagram. Huge teenage writing community. So, I want to be able to give people a positive editing experience. I have been through several editing experiences with other editors myself, and I'm just like, wow, they are super, super blunt, which is great. And that's necessary. It's necessary and it's important. And I don't mind, but I know some that might. And I don't want, other authors or writers to be discouraged by the things that need to be changed. So I would want to introduce editing in a fun way, and a way that makes people actually want to have edits as opposed to dread it.
That's cool. And I actually find myself like, I can't even watch a full movie anymore because I'm stopping, going back, rewinding, and I'm like, okay, I would have did this. Yeah, okay, yeah, I like that. Yes. So I definitely get where you're going. So I have enjoyed this interview. And have you ever thought about having your own podcast?
Yeah. So on that matter, I actually used to, and less of a podcast, more like it started off as a radio show.
I'm just like, I'm not surprised you've already had a podcast. Look at you. You just talk, oh, yeah, I already had a podcast. I'm like, people would freaking kill to have a podcast, and you just blew it over like, yeah, I had a podcast.
Oh, my word.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man, that's great. No, actually, yeah, it started off as a radio show. Then some really interesting things happened with the radio show, and I had, and the person who was working with it was very sketchy. So, but I had a guest, and I was like, I have to do something about this. I can't just say, oh, sorry, we're not going to do this. So I immediately, like in the last moment, was able to switch it to an Instagram live show that's sort of like a podcast. And I was able to do that. And it was so successful, got so much engagement. So I had that going for almost like a full year with lots of different, guests and stuff like that. It was great. Recently, though, things have been so busy. I haven't really had time to be able to just keep going with it, but it was a lot of fun. And it was great to be able to highlight other people, because there are so many other youth and teens and people who are doing great stuff, entrepreneurs, authors, actresses. I know so many talented actors and actresses, even from Box in the Basement and stuff, and so it's always an honor to be able to meet other people who like to shine a light in their communities.
Cool. So before we get you out of here, I want to do a little segment. I have get to know the guests. So I always ask my guests a few questions. Just give me a one-word answer. So you ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right. Favorite cereal?
Goodness. I would say either Reese's Puffs or Rice Krispies, but Rice Krispies have to have sugar in it though. So
Rice Krispies with sugar. Got it. All right. Favorite singer?
Okay, if I just have to pick one, I have so many. If I had to pick one, I guess Julie Fowlis. She's a Scottish musician. She performed in actually two songs in the Disney Pixar movie Brave, if that's familiar to anybody.
I got kids, honey.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I highly recommend her stuff. She's big on culture and showing respect to other musicians. I don't like musicians who are all about themselves. And so one of the things about her and plenty of the people in the Celtic music is that they do great stuff, great work, but also give back to the community and help others. So,
who's some of the actors or actresses who have you studied and you just marvel at and you're like, oh my God, they are phenomenal, and you just take things from?
Yeah, no, that is a really, really good question. And that's a different question than, actors that you admire. So I really like that because, yeah, it's more about the technique, regardless of personal life or anything. I would say there are some people that I'm just like, oh my goodness. There are a few very natural actors out there. I like a lot of even Martin Freeman's stuff. Some of his roles, he's very natural. Even from the last Spider-Man movies, Zendaya did a really good job. I'm not particularly a fan of all of her stuff, but she did such a good job that I thought, okay, I want to try to learn how to replicate that as a natural, to be able to be natural in my acting. And there was one other person. Oh, well, one of our favorite actors of all time is John Noble. He does Walter Bishop in our favorite TV show ever, Fringe, and just does such a good job. So I would definitely want my performance to be a lot like his if I ever play any kooky characters.
I got you. And what advice would you give to young people getting into this business? And what did you learn about this business once you got in it?
Oh, yeah. Well, that could go on for forever, so I'll just try to shorten that.
Narrow it down.
Yeah. I will just say, first of all, don't give up. I would say never give up, no matter how hard it is, no matter how hard the work is before you have to get to that success. And that ties into my other part that I always tell people is that there will be hard work. And it's not what everybody wants to hear, but it is true. There will be hard work. And and if you want success, then you will have to work for it. But the great thing about it is that the success is so great and you will be able to reap those rewards. So, never give up. And another thing too is a lot of people, especially young people, they are self-conscious about, oh, what if I fail? What if I mess up? And I always tell people this, and especially my speaking events, that you only fail if you give up. That is the only time that you fail. Mistakes are a part of the journey, so yeah.
Excellent. So Arianna, tell everybody, how can they reach you, follow you, and catch you, and all that good stuff?
All over the place. Really, I think I'm in a lot of different social media platforms. So let's see, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, unfortunately, on many different platforms as either Arianna Fox, Arianna Fox, or most commonly, A Fox Author. That is AFOX AUTHOR, like a fox who is an author, like myself. And then after that, you can also find me on my site, which is ariannafox.com. And also, to find my books, you can find me on Amazon. Just search The Princess Chronicles or False Awakening or Saber Black. And you can also do the same on my site, ariannafox.com, for personalized signed copies. So, yay!
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Arianna. I really appreciate you, and I love your energy. You're going to be, the sky's the limit for you because you're very talented, but I love it because you're very genuine, and I can tell that you're very passionate about this business. And you got to have that energy, commitment, and passion, and like you said, never give up. So you have all the tools to be a super mega star, and you are going to be a mega star. So I do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I so greatly appreciate it, and it has been such a pleasure and an honor to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Take care.
Thanks, you too.